Hello everyone too. Let me introduce myself again. I'm Jiří and I'm working as a senior Java team leader in Lundegaard company. As the colleague from Liferay said, I'm with Liferay since version 5, so it's quite a long time ago. And my role in this case study was I was the team leader of the delivery team, so I hope that I have quite good knowledge of what we were doing during this case study. And let's have a look what we are going to talk about for today. We'd like to guide you through the typical customer journey for our bank client, and we would like to show you how we start with the development process and how we then put the design system into the development process and how we change it and how we actually gather what we gather from this change and what necessary technological support we need to actually use to deliver the whole system in much more efficient way. So let's start from the example customer journey. If you imagine any bank, even the bank in Amsterdam, and if you imagine typical customer journey, it would be definitely a loan. So imagine that you are a customer of the bank, you want a loan, and you typically want to calculate how much you need to pay every month, and then you just want to make an appointment in the branch, or you want to finish the loan online in some online form. If we convert this typical customer journey to the Liferay outcomes, it would be usually some few portal pages giving you information about the loan product and about the rules which you need to fulfill to actually get the loan from the bank. And there will be definitely some custom portlet communicating to the backend as a calculator. And then there will be some map with the actually possibility to make an appointment and finish the loan on the branch, or there will be some online form which will guide you through the process of the online loan. If you look at the really simplified process of how we started actually in a bank with a delivery, I will focus just on the process from the UX design. I just skip the requirement specification, these things. But the most important thing, we started with the UX designers who wrote all the sketches and prepared the wireframes for the analysis. Then the analysts actually take these wireframes, they refine the user story and prepare everything for the developers. So they actually go around the bank, identify the right APIs from the backend which we need to call, and they send the user story in the definition of done state to the development. Then developers did their job. They prepared the templates, themes, and all the necessary stuff in the portal. Send it through the pull request to the testing, tested, return some bug fixes. Usually know this simple process, but what could go wrong, or what were the typical issues which we faced during this simplified development process? We realized that it's kind of hard, the handovers between the steps and between the teams like analysts, like UX guys, they were quite complicated because, for example, from the UX, sometimes the wireframe came, but with missing right description of the behavior. Sometimes we were coding the similar components, but they have just slightly different behavior, and we need to code another component which is almost similar as the previous one. And also the component decomposition was actually not well prepared for the portal. And especially then, if I just skip a few of them, for example, this one, like there were too many manual steps. When you come to the release, you have everything prepared, you send it to the production, and then a lot of web content coding needs to be done during the last phase of the release, and it was also kind of tough for us. So, Honza, what we've changed in our development process, where we actually started with a change. Can you tell us?
Yeah, of course. Let's start maybe with the process again. I made it even simpler. With our design and development phase, where the UX designers hands over some wireframes and graphic stuff to the developers, and based on that, the web application or website is built. And after that, if there is some time left, and we can spend, we create a style guide, which is likely to be a static PDF. And if you are from agency, just like we are, you will never know if the PDF you get is the up-to-date or not. So, what's to change? As the digital industry grows, much more complex, and the, thinking in these static pages is no longer sustainable. We have to change how we create stuff. And what we came up or found out after some research is the design system. So we put this system between the design and development and the actual website or application. And how can the design system help us? If I make it easy, we can make them in 3 parts. First part is what we can call a style guide. Style guide is really basic or simple parts of the page or a website, like the colors, grid, typography, and so on. And from these basic parts, you can make a much more complex components, such as menus, articles, navigation, and so on. And maybe the most interesting part is the design system also defines rules and relationship between these components, how should they behave, how to create new one, how to compare them, how to work with them. And if you make this all online and available, even people from your whole company, not just your team, everyone can use it, can learn it, and everyone can benefit from it. So what can you gain from using the design system? For me, it's the most important part is the consistency of your UI, because if the UI is consistent and behaves always same, your users don't have to think about what will happen, they just know from their previous experience. After that, you can have a faster production and delivery, because it's quite easy to copy and paste your already done stuff. And at the end, you have one single point of truth, so your QA people can just go to the design system and look the definition, not go through the dozen of InVision pages and so on. So, Jiří, can you please tell us how did you use advantage of these systems?
Okay, thank you for a word again, Honza. What is really important in a connection with the design system and design system with the Liferay, the design system itself needs to be modular. And the most important thing that if you identify some module in the design system, you need to directly map this module to the concrete thing in a Liferay. So it could be like a simple Liferay structure with its template. It could be any built-in portlet customized with the ADT, or, for example, asset publisher, very well known, or it could be a page template or your custom React component. If you identify the portlet that way, then it really simplifies the delivering of the new customer journeys, because you can directly from the requirement definition, you can easily realize what is actually already developed and then what could be done even without any more development. So this dramatically reduces the development demand. If you imagine the example modules, it could look like that, like the simple template structures or some more complicated custom portlets with a map or with a calculator, which I mentioned before. And how actually these two changes, or how actually the design system fits to the previously presented process. If you look at this diagram, you will see that we put the design system between analysis, development, and the UX guys. And the important thing is that when UX designers create something, some design system, it's automatically reviewed by the development team, and they tell them how to actually decompose the modules on the appropriate way to fit in the Liferay. And another very important change, I will comment it later on, is that you really need content guys from the company, from the bank, because some of the well-identified modules, they could be directly used and directly created by this content team, because you have a well-defined module in the design system, you know which component is it in the Liferay, so there is no point in just going through development. The content team can do it by himself. I will comment this later on. So what are the implications? The first one I already mentioned. The best idea what you can do is to actually take the development team from a bank. We started in a way that we don't have any web content web content guy in our team, then okay, we realized, okay, we need to give this role to someone from our team, but the change must be done, it must be done completely opposite way. You need to take the guys from the company, which will be using the solution, and let them do their job, and let them do their job as soon as possible. So if you create a few modules, just let them prepare these modules, but or put them onto the production side. But where they should work, if you are creating a new imagine that you are creating a new customer journey, and you know that 5 of the modules which are in the customer journey are already prepared. But where the content team should prepare the content, should they prepare the content on the test environment? Yeah, basically that's the best idea, because then you can probably test it without any side effect on the production. But what to do then with the content? You need to do the same step on the pre-production and same step on the production, and you don't want to do this repetitive job. Okay, so let's have a look from the opposite way. Let's do it on the production, but then how to test it? You probably don't want to test anything on a production, because then you need to add some other modules which are not developed yet, and you need to test it together, and it's definitely not a good idea to do that on the production. So what is the way? We realized that the best way how to do it is to create everything what is already done on the production, but create it in a staging and hide it from the users, just show it to the web content team, then migrate the database from the production just this way, from the production regularly, and connect everything together on the test environment. So you add the new modules on the test environment, and you can actually take the advantage of the partially prepared user story. Because the web content team, they prepare like half of the user story, testers just add the few more new modules, and they could test everything on the test environment. Let me talk a bit about the automated DB migration. If you imagine it, okay, you have a relational database, Oracle, Postgre, whatever, below the portal, so it's just a backup and restore procedure. But no, it's not the answer. You need to handle things like different virtual hosts on the production and on the test environments. You need to handle the classified data, because if you are working on the production and taking all the data from the production, you probably don't want to present these data to the testers or to some other guys from the development team. And all the environment-specific configuration in the production database needs to be changed according to the concrete environment. So how we actually did it? We started with the 2 quite basic steps. We exported the database through the PL/SQL procedure. Then we made a cron job which actually backs up the data from the production. And then the automated part starts actually on the Jenkins. That we create a job which actually stops the portal, restores the database, allow the new document library. Then we take advantage of the Liferay workspace, and we deployed we build up the whole bundle with all the OSGI modules, and actually upload it on the concrete environment. And during the last stage, we solve all the environment-specific configurations, because we write up our own startup action, which actually handles all the reconfiguration needed for the test or for the pre-production environment. And what was the result of this step? The result was that the testers start to do this regularly. They restore the production every day, because they were the only guys who were responsible for the test environment. So they could do it almost regularly every morning or twice a day. And this brings another challenge, because we also need to deliver new things, and we need to actually update the new templates on the portal. But how to do that if the testers just restore the database from the production like every hour? It's kind of hard. And we have an answer for this question, and it's a combination of the Liferay upgrade framework and Liferay Portal DB Setup Core, which is the open source project created by colleagues from the Mimecom. They also cooperate on this project together with us. And this tool actually really simplifies that goal, because it allows you to create the XML, which is describing the environment, and it can help you to create the Liferay entities. And in combination with the upgrade process, if you restore the database from the production, it's on the certain version, and the upgrade framework just can do the last step and upgrade the necessary stuff. And our usage was updating ADTs, updating VCM templates, structures, expandos, roles, and so on. But yes, there were also issues and pitfalls with the tool. And the toughest one actually was with the page updates. We realized that it's not going to work with the page updates because you get some changes from the production, and it's kind of hard to actually realize where to put the portlet. And if you imagine the portlet preferences of the asset publisher portlet, it's like, okay, more than 80 properties, so you don't want to define this in XML. But for the templates and for the structures, it was perfectly okay. Another quite huge challenge at the beginning was the initial setup, because we were using staging everywhere, and even the old changes from the portal setup tool, they were just updated to the staging environment. But when you are starting with the staging, you need to enable it, and when you enable it, it comes with the initial staging publication, and if you have many steps, you need to wait with the second step until the publication finishes. And this was kind of thing which we need to develop to actually develop the custom code which waits for the initial setup to finish. Another very important thing and thing which is connected to the design system is the master page with the templates. We have well-defined and well-identified modules in the design system, and what we created was one huge master page where there was an ID of each module and showing actually the real usage of the modules. So when the content developer needs to create a customer journey, he just go to this page, look for the module ID, and he knows how to work with the template or structure, or how to work with a concrete custom portlet, because it was described on the top of the component, and he also have an example how was actually the structure, or how it was used. And the last thing what I want to mention, which actually helps us to be more productive, was actually writing all the interactive stuff in the React. We completely skipped the old-fashioned JSP portlets with the jQuery, and we realized that for the interactive application, the JavaScript developers are the best ones. So we let them code everything outside of the portal, and then with the framework, we just allow them to integrate the JavaScript application very easy. And about this, there's going to be a talk tomorrow. It's going to be held by my colleague Jakub Kohout. So definitely, if you are interested in this one, you should visit his speech. And now I'll give the floor back to Honza. He will tell you about our ultimate goal.
Thank you. And if you have already some design system and prepared your modules, it is quite easy to just skip the steps of the UX design and the coding, because if you draw a sketch and say to people from the content team to just, hey, make me the page from the modules 0, 7, and 8, 9, and it's quite easy to them to build it from scratch, and there is no need to create a new graphic design for pages, every pages. And it's possible because everyone in the team has available the design system and it has the access to the Liferay, and everybody knows how these modules are working, how they behave, and how they look like. And if there is an ultimate goal, there is maybe ultimate question, will this make us all redundant? And I don't think so, because this is something which allows us to have much more time and don't do repetitive tasks, because we can have a time to optimize code or reduce technical debt, and we UX guys can always spend much time with our users. And this is our final slide. If you can sum up.
Okay, if I should sum the whole thing up, I would say use the design system. It will help you a lot, and it will save you a lot of time. especially if you also take the web content team from the bank or from your client to your team. If you bring them to the team, if you bring them on the stand-up, it can significantly reduces the development demand. And definitely recommended way is do the automated backup of the production database and try to keep all of the environments synchronized together, and do the actually backup and restore just the one way from the production to the lower environment. Because if you do it that way, it will prevent you from any conflicts, and if any conflict appears, you directly solve them on the production and immediately, and you don't have any problems during the release phase, because you can easily test everything on the test environment, because you have really the same database as you will have during the release on the production. And it's necessary to combine it with some automated tool which will help you with the updates when you are doing the restores regularly. And definitely go to the Jakub's presentation, because we were really thrilled when we were developing the interactive front end, because with the React it's much more simpler. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, I think that now we got time to answer them. No one?
So you can always.
Design system, what is it? How is it implemented? We use something, we buy something, borrow something.
Yes, we used or we a little bit changed the design system by Brad Frost. He has the style guide. We have changed some parts of it and make it to more be suitable for our process. So if you want, I can give you a link. We have open sources, so it's no problem to download it and make use
And to make it more clear, through this concrete case study, we use as a primary tool for design, we use Zeppelin. Hopefully it's not gonna go back, so something is wrong, sorry. Probably it will make us redundant, okay. And it was, come on. Sorry guys, but it's not moving, I don't know why. Sorry, but it was, you can see it on the, yeah, get it. It was over there in the Zeppelin page. One more. And we use Zeppelin.io. It's kind of, yeah, over there. This tool where all the sketches and all the outputs from our UX guy was. And then this is the master page, and as you can see, there is the module ID. So for the design system on the Moneta, we used this tool, but I must say that it doesn't fulfill all the requirements which should the design system have from our perspective. So this was just, for example, missing a lot in the description or how it should behave. There is some description, but it's definitely not as we want it to be at the end. So we need to improve it.
I also have a question.
Okay.
Do you have some hints how to convince the customer that the design system is a necessary part of the development, because it's some extra cost on the customer side, probably, and you have to convince him somehow it's what he needs.
Yes, I think that or would you like to start? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I'll be totally honest, we are still learning how to sell to our customers. Because we UX and developers see the benefits from it, but it's hard to explain them to our customers. So I don't have any quick solution for you. Sorry.
For example, at this concrete case study, it happens that when we bring the web content team and when we started doing it that way, the developers were much more satisfied because they were doing no content delivery at all, no like preparing data on the test and these things, and we really speed up. We were like almost twice fast as we were before, so it helps really a lot. Okay, it was not about the convincing. They will just tell us that we need to deliver something to the certain time, but on the other hand, they give us opportunity to change anything we want. So they say, okay, we need it by the end of the July or something, and you can do any change in the team, any change on the team structure. We also changed the stand-ups because we were delivering everything through the Scrum, and we got kind of problems with the fixing, let's say, 14-day sprints. So we change it to the Kanban, and we bring all the teams together. So we got to like stand up in the 20 people, but it helps a lot with the handover phase and bringing the web content team. It saves us a lot of time, so we deliver it. It was kind of tough, but we manage it. And if you want to see it, just write in the browser www.moneta.cz and you will see it, how it actually look like. And it's on the Liferay DXP version 7.
Maybe in the beginning you told there were so many modules like with little nuances. So how many modules at the end do you have, and how many would you think you would have if you would the system do again?
I think that we could. You can see it over there. I think it's probably like around 100, maybe a bit more. And
so basically you deliver the same thing, but you optimize the number of modules.
yeah, but sometimes it's not a good idea to like put all the modules in, because the minimizing the number of modules leads to more complicated structures, and sometimes it's even better to have more modules. I think it's not a bad thing that we have 100 modules. It's not a huge deal, but even the opposite thing was problem that we were trying to put all these nuances into same module, because it looks similar, but at the end it appears that it should be like split it into the two modules. So I would even put it the opposite way. If we started with this one, we will have even more modules, but they were just for the concrete case, and they will be more clear and more easier to maintain them. But I must say that 70% of them were just web content and structures or usage of the ADTs. Okay.
Can you tell a few words about speed? I mean, for one backlog item, how much time does it take on average to go live? Going through these teams, content team, development team.
You mean like one user story?
Yeah.
Let's say that during the last phase, where we actually changed the approach, we have 4 months for around 6, I guess, user stories. So less than month for one user story, which also usually contains a calculator, like 2 formulas or something like that. But the user stories, they become easier to deliver because the number of the modules which you already have just gains. But usually it's like, let's say 2 user stories per month maximum. Did I answer your question? Sorry. Okay, so I think that we're finished. Thank you very much.